Well, I find that most of my books are about forgiveness. I think it's really important to be reminded that we are forgiven and that, yes, while guilt is a choice, we don't have to choose to carry it around with us because we are forgiven. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to forgive yourself. But if God doesn't hold us guilty for those because Jesus made the sacrifice, then we should let those things go and not carry them around with us.
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to Writer's Day podcast. My name is Ruth Douthat, and I'm so glad to have you here today because I started this podcast for you. People who want to listen to amazing, best-selling authors talk about their stories, like my guest will today, but also learn a little bit about the writing craft, like what it takes to write a suspense story, the research behind it, and how to craft amazing characters that take hold of the readers. So if you're an aspiring writer, this is where you want to be to learn more about the craft. So welcome. And if you like today's episode, please consider subscribing over at YouTube. Follow me on Spotify and iHeartRadio and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And leave me a review. I love to know what you think of today's episode. And to learn more about me, head over to my website at artbyruth.com and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll receive a free PDF copy of my novella, The Letter Opener. It's a suspense story. And also, you will learn more about my upcoming projects like A Shadow of Hope, a romantic suspense that I wrote, set in Arizona, the Desertscape, and releases April 14th. So sign up for my newsletter today to learn more about that project and more. Okay, let's get busy. Dana Mentink, that's right, the New York Times USA Today best-selling author is here with me today. She has written more than 50 mystery and suspense novels, and she's here to talk about her latest, Raging Waters. Ooh, it sounds amazing. So you know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, kick back and relax as we listen to Dana talk about her new book. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Writer's Day. I'm so excited to have Dana Mentink with me again. Welcome back, Dana.
Well, thanks. Thanks for letting me come back. I appreciate it.
Of course. So what have you been up to in 2026?
Well, golly, it's been busy. It's been busy. We've been busy writing books and having kids with birthdays, and we had a few earthquakes around here. So we're always up to something, I guess.
Wow, earthquakes? How many?
Well, we've had these things called cluster earthquakes, so we've had several hundred actually, many of which are too small we don't even notice, but we had some big ones. My bookcase fell off the wall, and so that was pretty dramatic, but it does show you what you don't have fastened properly, so that's a good that's a good cautionary tale there.
And where do you live again?
Northern California.
Okay, so yeah, that makes more sense. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, I can't even imagine that.
Well, it's sort of a new thing. We used to get, the earthquake and then no earthquakes, but these have been just several hundred along the same fault, and I suppose it releases pressure is the good way to look at it, right? So that
Okay.
we don't have a big one. At least that's the theory. I'm going with
Whew.
that theory. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Right.
So, do you have any plans to attend writers' conferences this year?
I think I'm going to try to go to ACFW in it's in Tennessee, where I forget
Okay.
where Graceland is. I forget what town it
Yeah,
is. It
Tennessee. You're right.
Memphis? Memphis?
Uh, yeah,
Anyway,
Memphis. Yeah,
that's
that's where
I'm gonna
Elvis lives. Yeah.
give that a go, but that's probably the only one I'll do
Wow.
just
Okay.
for time's sake. But you get to see a lot of people there, so that's a good one to go to.
That's true. Do you ever give advice to authors who are up and coming about how to get the most out of a conference?
I think I have maybe done that once or twice. I certainly could. I've been to a lot of them, and it's overwhelming at first. So you just have to kind of give yourself some grace and feel like I don't have to do every single thing. You
Hmm.
know, I'll be coming back. So not to drive yourself crazy trying to make it to every panel and everything. It's exhausting going to conferences.
You're right, it can be. I found
Mhm.
that after about three of the ACFWs, no, that's not true, maybe like two, I decided on the third one to volunteer.
Oh, nice.
And that really made a difference. I got to know people. I got to see people coming in and helping them register. And I don't know, I just felt more connected that way.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful thing to do. And certainly they always need volunteers. So good deal.
That's true. Yes. So yeah, I mean, I think it's important for authors to kind of leave their comfort zone. We are known for being introverted at times, so it's good
True.
to break out of that comfort zone and go challenge yourself and meet other authors and network.
That's true. You make friends and you keep them. So it's really cool meeting people that you've only seen online.
That's true. I still am friends with many of them. One lady came as far as Australia, and
Oh,
yeah, I'm
wow.
still friends with her on Facebook about,
Nice.
I was 2015, so yeah, it's been a long
Oh,
time.
see, there you go.
Okay, let's talk about this new book, Raging Waters. Tell us about this story.
Well, like Fire Mountain, the first one, it's a wilderness survival story. So you're going to have a couple of individuals who are having to run for their lives from a human predator, but there's also the problem of they're in an area that is flooding and the dam is failing and they are unable to get out of this area. So they're going to have to use all their wily survival skills and make it out alive.
Ooh, that sounds great. What was your inspiration for this? I mean, flooding and everything, where'd that come from?
Well, I like to write about things that scare me, and that's right up there at the top because I'm afraid of deep water and I'm not a water person. So I just think, wow, what would that be like to be at the mercy of a great big amount of water and there's no one coming to help you. It's almost like an earthquake in the level of devastation. It's just there's no way to prepare or get yourself out of it easily. So that's always a good thing to write about when you're just metaphorically in a corner and how are you going to survive? It's fun I enjoy stories like that. So,
Yeah, definitely, especially that would require wilderness survival skills, that's for sure.
right, in which I have none, by the way. In real life, I don't, I've told you before, I can't find my car in the parking lot, so I'm not going to survive anything. So it's really kind of fun to write about people who are much more canny and savvy than I am.
And out here in the desert Southwest, a lot of people would think, oh, you don't have to worry about that because you're in the desert. Well, yes and no. We get flash floods. We get a lot of those where we have these washes and they are dry beds. But when we get a lot of rain, they turn into raging rivers without a moment's
Wow.
notice. So,
Terrifying. Like
and that,
it's
yeah.
dry one moment and
Hmm.
and deep the next. That's frightening, yeah.
And that happened to me at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. We were
Oh,
hiking
wow.
out. We had spent a wonderful, 3 or 4 days there, and it was time to go home. So we headed out early in the morning, like most people would, to avoid the heat. It was around August. And a monsoon storm hit, and it started raining. And we were hiking out. And then before we knew it, the trail we had come in on was now a raging river.
Oh,
So
wow.
we got stuck. So yeah, when I saw Raging Waters as the title of your book,
You can relate, huh?
I've been there and it is scary.
Oh, for
So
sure.
yeah, that intrigues me. I'm always fascinated with the setting of stories, these kinds of stories where they're high tension and needing survival skills. So it awakens things inside of you you did not know were there.
Very true. Very true.
Now, Mackenzie Bardine, that's your character's name.
Yes, that's the
Tell us,
heroine.
yeah, tell us a little bit about her and why did you have her start a true crime podcast?
Well, her brother was murdered, and she has decided that she knows who's responsible. And he's a very powerful, connected man, so she can't really get to him. So she starts this true crime podcast to find the answers and to be able to bring him to justice and find out his real identity and such and sundry. So she sort of takes to the grassroots sort of approach to finding justice for her brother, which is really justice for herself and her family, which she comes to realize. But yeah, so she starts a very popular crime tip podcast.
Hmm. Did you have to do some research into those? Do you like to listen to them yourself?
Yes and no. I mean, I do enjoy listening to them once in a while, but I also feel like it's a terribly painful thing because it's a real story with real individuals and their families and it I feel uneasy at times because I think it's difficult to tell a story like that about real individuals who are still suffering. They don't have any closure, their loved one is gone. Right. So I think those need to be, treated very carefully so that it's not a salacious story, a scandal everybody wants to read about, but keeping in mind those are real people suffering, and their families are definitely in pain. So I don't know. It depends on how it's done, I think.
That's so true. I tend to like the ones where they are very empathetic to the victims, where they focus on who the victims were and not so much celebrating the killer. We have
Hmm.
enough of those for crying out loud. And I
Yeah.
think at the time when true crime podcasts were gaining their popularity, they had a tendency to focus a lot on the killer, Ted Bundy and all those. But I like the ones where, like you said, they take care to remind us that these were real people who were killed, not just names.
Well, I
So
think we have a tendency to do that as suspense and thriller writers. Sometimes we're very focused on the crime, but really, I mean, in real life, that would absolutely devastate a family. So I think it's always important to keep that in mind when you're writing and watching these things.
that's true. So in addition to Bullseye, Mackenzie also kind of blames Gideon Landry. Tell us about this character.
Well, he's the hero, and he was best friends with her brother.
Mm.
And unfortunately, she feels that when she came to Gideon for help in catching the killer, he declined for reasons that she can't understand, which she'll come to find out later in the story. But there's some relationship secrets between that he knows about Aaron, the dead brother, who he's not willing to talk about much in the beginning. So they have to kind of get to know. It's sort of an enemies. They start out as enemies, I would say,
Mm.
in the beginning of the story, and but he's a search and rescue or a SEER instructor. I always get the words mixed up. Survival, evasion, resistance, and escape specialist for the Air Force. So you can see how that's going to come in handy, right?
Hmm. Definitely. So how important was it to you to portray this veteran's, to make sure he has an authentic voice? Was that difficult for you to do as a writer?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, it's always what we strive for. I guess the readers will have to decide if it's an authentic voice or not. But I think if trying to make him as much a person and not just a soldier, he is not what he does. He's a deeper character than that. So that's good to remember so we don't fall into kind of that stereotypical tough guy hero sort of a thing. He
Yeah.
has a sense of humor and he has a lot of little quirks that I think are realistic. Maybe not. I don't know. People will let me know, I'm sure.
Did you have to do some research into that?
I read a very interesting handbook. I think it was an Air Force handbook on survival tactics, and I know more about praying mantis and quicksand and such than I ever did before. So I don't think any of this would help me survive any better, but it was very interesting to read.
That's great. Now, as an author of suspense and books with this kind of tension, how do you balance all that, wilderness survival and the action, the tension with a little bit of romance in there too? How do you find that balance?
Right? That's just wild. That's a definite challenge for me because my books typically take place in a very short amount of time. So we're talking like a week, 2 weeks, right? So that's not a realistic framework for the characters to fall in love, in my opinion. I think they can definitely see each other authentically because all of the extraneous stuff is stripped away when you're trying to survive, which can hasten the process, but I still think it's a tricky thing to build that realistically. So Usually there's going to need to be some time at the end of the novel when they're not being hunted where they can, just take a breather and get to know each other better.
Yeah, that's much more realistic than, a wedding proposal at the very end.
We don't want well, you can have the wedding proposal, but you need to have some space there, right? It
Yeah,
can't be a trauma bonding thing.
exactly. Well, that's important. And I know you respect your readers. You want to make sure that they're following these characters and this story well and not kind of interrupting it with these slow romantic parts, That's what I love so
Mhm.
much about your books and Lynette Eason and Elizabeth Goddard. You all seem to know how to find that balance. I'm new to the genre, so I'm trying to learn more how to do that, how to find that proper balance and really respect the readers who pick up your book because they want that adventure. They want to know more about wilderness survival. How do you survive a raging river, a
Right? I
flood,
mean,
they
it's a
want that.
challenge. It's a
Yeah.
challenge.
So I know they respect that. Now it's set in the wilds of Washington. So what kind of research did you have to do? I know you said water and rising water frightened you. So what kind of research did you had to have to do that didn't cause you nightmares?
Well, you can learn anything if you spend enough time poking around online. So I
Mm,
like to read about uh, true stories if I can, about what people actually, real survivors, what they have said about flooding. And I think that's always more interesting than just the academic research about a flood. But yeah, I'm fortunate that I've never been in a major flood. We've had some minor flooding, which was scary enough. It's like what, unrestrained water flow is like I just think it's the scariest thing ever. But yeah, no, it's just a lot of research and a lot of listening and finding real stories of real survivors and hearing what they had to say, what their emotions were like at the time.
hmm Did you ever tap into your own fears about it when you were writing Mackenzie?
Well, I think you do that in any kind of good book
That's
you
true.
write. You're going to be right there. And that's the whole thing about, well, not to give it away, but she is handcuffed in a prison van that goes off the bridge into the
Ooh.
river.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I can't think of anything scarier than that, being physically restrained while your vehicle is sinking,
Ooh.
because there's no way
Oh.
you're going to get out of that. And I think that would be just a bad way to go. But
I
yeah,
have nightmares like that. Oh my goodness.
terrible,
Eeh.
right? Terrible helplessness. So, I guess, but that's okay. Don't worry. You can read that early in the book and you know it's going to be okay. But
Okay, now I've
yeah.
got to read this book just to see how you described it. That is amazing.
Scary, scary stuff.
Now, you mentioned trauma connecting these characters, but you didn't want that to be the foundation for their relationship. Yet both characters are carrying tremendous guilt about Aaron's death.
Hmm.
So, how did you write their characters coming from these different perspectives without it being, the foundation of their relationship?
Well, they're going to have to come to an understanding within themselves, first off, about how they, that guilt that they're carrying themselves, and then to process that together as well. But I don't think you can really do the second before you do the first.
Mm,
And so there's some revelations in there that are going to help with that. But I think of something my friend told me, which is guilt is a choice.
mm.
And I think, wow, that's sometimes hard to realize that. And it can take a terrible toll, carrying a lot of guilt around with you is a weighty thing. And it's a drowning of its own kind in a way.
Ooh, I love that. Especially that survivor's guilt,
Hmm.
that causes a
What
lot
should
of
I have
trauma.
done? What could I
Mhm.
have done?
Why
Why
did
did
I
I
live?
survive? Very difficult.
Well, as Christian authors, we want to put those themes in our stories so our readers are entertained, but they also walk away with something. So, what do you hope readers walk away with after reading Raging Waters?
Well, I find that most of my books are about forgiveness in and of itself. So I think it's really important to be reminded that we are forgiven and that, yes, while guilt is a choice, we don't have to choose to carry it around with us because we are forgiven. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to forgive yourself for mistakes that you've made. But if God doesn't hold us guilty for those because Jesus made the sacrifice, then we should let those things go and not carry them around with us in spite of what Christ has done for us, right? But
Mm.
it's easier said than done. So it's nice to be able to work through that with characters, with fiction, to kind of take a look at how that might look in someone else's life.
Well said. Mackenzie, though, is seeking justice. Is that a theme that's in your story too?
Yep, and she thinks that's her primary goal is justice. But I think she's going to come to some understanding as the novel goes on that that's what she's telling herself, and that's what she uses as justification for a lot of things to cover up some pain that she's feeling. If she can just get justice, if she can just punish this bullseye, then things will be back on track. And she's going to discover that's not necessarily true.
So very similar to what we do as well, don't we?
Right? I mean, we have to accept that, don't we? That there is not perfect justice here, and that sometimes the justice system comes close, but really there is never perfect justice on this planet, not in this time, not until God comes back. So that's a hard thing to swallow because we really, really want people to be punished who do bad things and people to be rewarded who do good things. But that's not the way it works here.
Mm.
Not all the time, anyway.
That's true. It's not perfect. Things of this world are not perfect. So, yeah, you're right. We can't rest in earthly justice. We have to rely on God and His perfect justice.
Absolutely.
I love that. So, Raging Waters, when does it release?
March, I believe it's the 3rd. March 3rd.
Okay.
So we're coming up on it, huh?
Well, fantastic. Well, listeners, make sure you head over to Amazon and pre-order your copy because it releases tomorrow. How exciting is that? And your Kindle will automatically be populated with the book tomorrow. So that's fantastic. And so what's coming next down the road for you, Dana?
Well, with Ravel, I've got two more books coming. It's called the Hidden America series. It's about a media scout team that goes out and takes a look at these abandoned places to see if they are fitted and suitable for a television show to film there called Hidden America. So you can imagine all the wonderful, isolated, scary places in the US that we're gonna we're gonna go find. So hopefully a good time.
And this is fiction?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, how did you come up with this idea?
Who knows? I guess I have too much time on my hands. I don't know.
Have you been to some of these hidden places?
Well, I've been to some isolated places like Death Valley and things of that
Yeah.
sort,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
yeah, I'm sort of I like to look and read about places that people stumble upon that have been abandoned, years and
Mm.
years ago, and what were they used for, and what is it like now? And there are the whole population of people that love to go and photograph these places.
Oh,
They,
I know.
there,
I've
there's
seen them.
there's a name for them, and I forget what it's called, where you go to find isolated places and take their picture. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah,
I
I've
think
seen the
it'll be a
groups
good
on
time.
Facebook. That's what I was wondering if this was a true, nonfiction, but it's going to be a fiction series. Because I love the ones where they tour the abandoned insane asylums,
Right? That's a big
hotels,
popular
those,
one for tropes
yeah,
now
those
for
creepy
for fiction
hotels.
books. Like what used to be a sanitarium, and now it's a right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what made you piqued my interest. I was like, ooh, wow, this is
Good
cool.
deal.
Can
Glad to
hardly
hear
wait
it.
to read that series. Fantastic. And when's book one coming out? Do you know?
I should totally know that. I'm just writing it now, so I'm gonna guess a year
Ah,
from now.
okay. Yeah, you've still got a long way to go. Okay, great. Well, listeners, follow Dana on Amazon. You can click and follow the author, and so that way when the book is coming out, it'll notify you. And that's what I love about following so many authors. You get that notification sent to your email. So be sure you follow Dana. And what are some other ways that readers can connect with you?
Well, I'm a big Instagrammer, and I amuse myself to no end on Instagram. So you will find out some things about books, and you will find out a lot of wacky things about writing land in Mentink land. So we'd love to see you there. And the old newsletter comes out once a month. You can find that at danamentink.com. I do a video every month for my newsletter subscribers, and we have like little super special treats for them because they're my family. So if you wanna pop in, we'd love to have you as part of the newsletter family.
Oh, I love that. All right, so you heard Dana. Go to danamentink.com and sign up for her newsletter. That way you can stay up to date as to all these upcoming projects that she has. That's the best way to do it, I think. Well, Dana, as usual, this has been a treat to listen to you talk about raging waters and all your upcoming projects and your research. It's so fascinating. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for having me.
Wow, wasn't that fun to listen to Dana Mentink talk about raging waters and her research and everything? It's available for pre-order one more day because it releases tomorrow. So head over to Amazon and get your copy, and be sure and follow her on Amazon and also sign up for her newsletter. I was inspired. I don't know about you, but I was inspired by this story and all the research she does about the military and flooding. And wow, she really knows how to use the setting of a story to draw in the readers and kind of trap you there, if you will. And that's what's needed in these kind of suspense thrillers that have tension, real tension. So learn from her and keep writing, keep going forward on your writing journey, overcome those obstacles. Maybe try writing about something new or something that scares you, like flooding. But most of all, I thank you for listening today. And until next time, God bless.